Hi there, and welcome to the blue timeline in DaVinci Resolve 20 or the source timeline. Let me show you how it works because it's going to save you hours of video editing. Let's say you have a clip that's around 30 minutes. Of course, you don't want to use the whole clip. You want to take small sound bites or small bites that are meaningful, and when you create your main timeline, they tell a story or the narrative is very good. How do you work here? Well, I'm going to show you the professional latest way. I'm going to show you two methods here that are very important and very useful. Now, if you double click, you will open your main clip in the source monitor. If you come over here, you know that the first icon will show you the source clip as it is now. The second icon will show you now the source tape, and we have all the clips. There are only two. The third icon, if you click on it once, it will show you the timeline. Now you cannot preview the timeline because there is no timeline. But if you click it another time, it will open what we call the source timeline or the blue timeline. I like to call it blue timeline. It has taken the source clip that has been opened and opened it in a kind of timeline. Now this timeline is not functional, but you can take bytes from here and drop them in your main timeline. So let's go ahead, take the timeline and create a new timeline. It's okay to call it timeline 1 now, we are just demonstrating. So I have here a new timeline that's completely blank. I will reopen my interview and go back here. Okay, another time I have opened the source timeline. Now what can you do here? Well, you can't do much but zooming in and out and setting an in point and an out point. So after setting the in and out point, you want to take this small byte from the in and out point and drop it in your timeline 1. So now I have here stack timeline, so I can see which one. You notice that it's blue and the playhead is blue. That's why it's called blue timeline. Now, after you set the in and out point, always give them a bit more, like 10 frames, 15 frames from the in and out point, so you have some wiggle when you are trimming or you're adding transition and so on. After setting the in and out point, you want to take this small byte here and drop it in timeline 1. How do you do that? It's very easy. You come to the edit over here and you have all these options. And of course, the most practical one is append to end of timeline. Let's select it. And you will notice that in the timeline 1 now, I have the selected clip where I can trim the way I like. Don't worry about what I selected. It really doesn't matter. And I can do all kinds of editing now. Now I would like to take another byte from my source timeline. How do I go back to my source timeline or my blue timeline? Well, if you come over to view here, you have toggle source timeline. The shortcut is Option or Alt Q. Let's take Alt Q here and make sure you're not pressing Command Q because you will close DaVinci Resolve here with the Command or Control Q. So it is Alt Q. With Alt Q, I am back to my source timeline. I can set another in point, I can set another out point, give them a bit. Let's imagine this is exactly what I want. And of course, I can append to the end of the timeline, which is my timeline 1. I'm going to press Shift F12 and it goes to my timeline 1. Here, as usual, I can edit the way I would like. Let's go back to the source timeline. Now it's Option Q. And then I will select another in point. For example, let's say I'm doing a very good job. Okay, that's the out point. I will add some frames in the beginning and in the end here. So I have some wiggle, I have some handles, and Shift F12 and add it to the main timeline. Now, of course, I use Shift F12 because it's very practical. You could use place on top, you could use replace, overwrite, whatever you like. If you come back to your blue timeline or the source timeline, it's blue. You can select all kinds of bytes and arrange them in your main timeline to create a beautiful narrative, a beautiful video, something that makes sense. Now there is another method I would like to show you, which is much more professional and much better in my opinion. You right click and let's create a new timeline. And this one is going to be timeline 2. The timeline 2 will appear here. I'm going to close timeline 1 just not to be confused within this video. I will start creating subclips. To do that, I want to be organized. I will create a new bin and call it Subclips. I will double click and open the bin subclips. Now I want to go back to my source timeline. Since I already opened once and I did not open any other one as source timeline, I can always use the Option Q and come back to my source timeline here. I would like to select another in and out point. So I will select the in point here and an out point. Of course, give them some handles on the left and right to be able to trim them and maybe add transitions. Instead of taking this byte directly to my timeline 2 or my main timeline, I want to create a subclip. What's a subclip? Subclips are logical clips. It means they're not going to be saved on your hard drive, but they exist within your project and they have a good name, of course, if you give them a good name, and they have the in and out point as selected over here. To create subclips is very easy. You come to Mark, and over here you have Create Subclip. The shortcut is Alt or Option B. I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to create a subclip, and I can give it a name, and that is very important. So I will write 1 dash saying hello. So I know that in this subclip, the guy here will say hello. Now there is the option use full clip extent or not. I'm going to uncheck this one. And I will create. Now in my subclips bin, because it was selected, a subclip has been created, and it's called one saying hello. This is a very normal clip that you can use the way you would like, but it will not be saved on your media storage. Now let's create another subclip. For example, the in point here and the out point here. I will give it more wiggle. Okay, in and out point. Let's estimate that you listened exactly to the audio and decided exactly on the sound bites that you want. Option or Alt B to create the sound bite, and then 2, for example, saying bye-bye. I will not check the clip extent. I will just create. I have another one. Now I come over, I decide, okay, I want this in point and this out point here. And Option or Alt B, I will create another subclip, and this one 3 dash full extent. I'm going to call it full extent. And this one, I'm going to check the full extent. I will create. Now I have my 3 clips. Of course, you can do a much better job by selecting several subclips here, maybe 10 of them, to make a 1 or 2 minutes. And you have some logical story, some narrative that is very good. I will come back to timeline 2, which is still very empty. I will select my clips and just drop them in the timeline. Over here now, I have saying hello, which makes a lot of sense. It is not like timeline 1, if you remember. It was just interview. I don't know what it's about unless I listen. In timeline 2, I have a subclip that is saying hello. Of course, I can trim it the way I'd like now, something like this. And if I double click, I will open it in the source monitor. What I'm opening in the source monitor is the subclip with the same and in and output that you have selected when you created the subclip. So I have the in and out point. I already trimmed. I can change the in and out point here, decide exactly what I want. But take note that I don't have more than what I selected as in and out point. I am restricted to this in and out point. That's why we left a few frames on the right and a few frames on the left, so we can trim it the way you would like, refine your edit. The second clip is exactly the same. I have the in and out point as selected. I am restricted between the selection I did for the in and out point. I can trim the way I would like. I can trim them from the timeline if you want to. The last clip, this one we used full extent, if you remember. When I double click to open it, here you are. You have your in and out point, and you have the whole original clip. This is very practical because I can change now the in and out point the way I would like. I will not be lost if I change the name also. But this is a very practical where you have all the source clip here and you can change. Yes, it's hard to edit. It's better to have the in and out point in the subclips and not to bother about full extent. But sometimes the full extent is very useful. Of course, you can come back, Alt Q, and then get another in and out point if you want to. And you don't have to always create a subclip. I can take this one and go to Edit and Append at End. Of course, I would press Shift F12. I have it over here, but now this one is Interview. So now I have my organized subclips and my very mysterious interview here that I have to listen to. This is the latest in DaVinci Resolve about how to use the source timeline and how to edit some very long videos and taking subclips. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video.